Hi guys, this is just a video showing the install of a full-featured GPS, DVD, MP3, iPod Bluetooth unit into a Mazda BT50. We're using Aerpro parts for the trim panel and also to make the accessories all plug and play. We recommend using some plastic trim removal tools to assist in removing any panels, especially if they're silver, as they can scratch quite easily. You're best starting from both sides when you start to pry it out to get those first clips to pop out, and also make sure that you don't stretch anything too far when you're removing the factory cables that are mounted inside. On this particular job, there are a couple of switches and buttons that you'll need to remove from your original fascia and set aside to reinsert into your new fascia pack to make sure that you still retain all of the functionality and the best finish on the final job. It's good to keep these aside in a separate area for the rest of the work that you're doing, in case you do decide that you need to do any filing or other trim adjustments. It's good to remember that there can be slight variations in all of the manufacturing finishes that are on the jobs in your car, and that you may need to work a little bit harder to get some of these parts out, like the hazard light or anything else. It's fairly easy to reinsert these into the new fascia panel. As such, you shouldn't have too much trouble. Just take your time and do make sure that you put them in the right way around. This particular job requires the use of a cage to ensure that the stereo is held in the correct position. Take your time when fitting this cage through your new fascia, as it's very easy to scratch, and just see how you can get it centered in there using the existing housing in place. At all stages throughout the installation, we recommend doing a test fit just to ensure that you are happy with the how the unit is going to sit in there. We also, of course, recommend that you do a test power up on 12 volts to ensure that all features on the unit are working the way that they're supposed to. You'll notice the installer here is using a couple of trim rings to go around the unit. In this particular installation, it's necessary to ensure the best finish on the job once it's going to be installed. Now that the unit is seated properly and we're happy with its placement and position, it's time to mark out where the holes are going to go in the cage that we've used on this particular job. These cages can be picked up for around $25. If you can get them for less, even better. But you'll see that we just need to make a couple of marks to line up with where the screws are on the actual head unit, so that we can then secure those at a later date. Now, pop rivets are being used here, but you may choose to use the screws that are provided with the actual deck. Those screws should never exceed more than 4.5 millimeters of penetration into the unit. Back in the car now, what we've actually run is the reversing camera wires, any TV or accessory wires such as GPS, iPod or USB cables that needed to be run through, as well as a microphone up the A-pillar. If you are running a mic up the A-pillar, please be aware that you may have a side airbag there. As such, you'll need to keep well clear of this in order to prevent any damage to the unit. Plugging everything in is pretty straightforward once all the cables have been run and tucked away neatly, as all cables on the back of our units are labelled. Again, factory ISO adapters are essential to keeping the rest of your job nice and neat, also saving you time with any chopping and hardwiring. There's almost never any need to chop and hardwire a unit in these days. At this point, with one hand supporting the unit, it's a good idea to tuck away any extended cables that are hanging out there, such as the RCA pre-outs or the ISO adapter or connector. This ensures that you're not going to crush anything behind the unit when you do seat it in for a test fit. And it's also a good idea to make sure that you're not going to crush or bend your GPS or television antennas, as this can dramatically affect their performance. Take care to line up the clips on the back of the fascia panel with their appropriate slots within the dash. While they're not expensive to replace, it is an awful distraction to have to run out and pick up some more in the middle of a job. Always try and apply even pressure, either from the bottom to the top or the top to the bottom, depending on the job that you're undertaking, to seat those clips in evenly on the horizontal plane.